Hi, this is Ed Harrow of the Hopkinton Open Space Preservation Commission, just chatting to kind of update you on what we did and didn't do in our last meeting, which takes place on the first Thursday of the month in the basement bowels of Town Hall. It's a big room, lots of room if you want to come, because we're not broadcast live, but you can come and hang out and see what we do. So I have to look at my minutes and agenda. So when I look away for a minute, that's why. So the first thing we have is a public forum, and we had two things to talk about. One was a planning board event called Pedestrian Connectivity Through Town, and that's taking place the 21st of March, 7 o'clock via Zoom. So you can go into the town website someplace and click on that and opine from the comfort of your own home what you think the issues might be with respect to pedestrian connectivity in town. And the next thing we talked about was I'm also on the Conservation Commission, and I've been sitting in on classes last weekend, this week too, hard at work for you, on Mass Conservation Commission issues. And one of the things that was presented there, and then I took a class the week before, hard at work for you, on the new Mass Biomap. And this is a really pretty cool tool that you can access. You want to find the site, which of course I don't know off the top of my head, sorry, Biomap Hub. So you probably type in Mass Biomap Hub and that will get you there. It was known as Biomap 3, but they are now going to not update numerically. They're just going to call it Mass Biomap Hub and make changes as we go with no obvious increment that you're aware of. But you can look at areas of the whole state. You can look at areas of the town. You can view ecological issues, plants, animals, water, rock, all kinds of stuff. You can spend hours there. I recommend you bring cookies and milk when you do it for your satiation. So there's that. The next thing on our agenda is there's a piece of property on Pond Street where a trail of long standing has crossed this private property. And we are trying to entertain a discussion with the landowner about getting an easement across the property. And one of the issues, which has nothing to do with the owner or the property, is the issue of easements. Easements cost money, and our question is whether CPC funds can be used to acquire an easement. And this is still somewhat unanswered. The question has been raised with town council, and the answer has not yet been forthcoming. The town's CPC or open space enabling legislation is very clear that the Open Space Preservation Commission may acquire easements. What's not clear is whether CPC funds can be used to acquire the easement. So that's a question that's still out there. And the property owner was also unable to attend the meeting, so that will be pushed forward to the next meeting. And maybe by then we'll have an answer as to whether CPC funds can be used for this. Next thing on our agenda was an e-bike policy. And after considerable discussion, we decided we don't have one. And we're going to take a wait and see approach. And if you don't know what an e-bike is, it's a bike with an electric motor, and they come in various iterations. And the state's regulations, in my opinion, are somewhat confusing. Some are legal and some are not to use on like DCR property, and how one knows which is and which is not legal is, to me, a bit of a confusing concern. Next was signs, where we need more signs so that people know when they come on property that was acquired through the efforts of open space, that is so. And we have multiple properties in town where open space did the legwork, but there's no sign there to advertise our efforts. And so we need to acquire more signs. And so we had a vote on that. And the next thing we need to do is to see how many more signs than the couple that we voted on we need. So that will come up hopefully maybe next meeting. And then the next thing we talked about was updates for lands of interest for acquisition. We know that some wheels are turning on several pieces of property, one of which, or two of which we hope will be on the town meeting warrant for our spring town meeting. There's other pieces of property. I've had a conversation with the landowner. There's a lot of wheels that need to turn between now and when anything on that actually happens. But we are, as a commission, we are becoming more and more focused, really thanks to the focus of one member, Stephen Lewandowski, who is the guy who has really been holding our nose to the grindstone on this task. And I really credit Stephen with that. So that takes care of that. Oh, and we talked as part of the open space rec plan that we're supposed to help on update. We talked about lands that are in Chapter 61 in town and the reduction in properties in Chapter 61. Chapter 61 it's a tax stock program where the property owner commits to not do anything with his property or her property for a period of time, and gets a reduction in their tax, real estate taxes as a consequence. I had a lot of my mom's land in Chapter 61. I tried to get her to do it on her own, but she was pretty stubborn in doing things that were different. But she was so happy with me because of the money that I saved her by having her land in Chapter 61. And then what we did when it was time for Mom to move on was we sat down with the town, we worked out a deal, and we sold the land to the town as open space recreation property. And it really worked out well for all parties concerned. And I could say that, Mom could have had more money by selling the land as buildable lots. But when you looked at the tax consequences of that and the engineering consequences of that and the survey consequences of that, all of which went by the boards when we sold it to the town, it really came out pretty even. So big fan of that. Which gets us to the open space recreation plan. And again, I need to sing Steve Lewandowski's praises. He did a huge amount of work on reviewing the plan and commenting on it, all of which Shannon Source, who's our admin, had to take down more or less either pen and paper or on her computer, trying to keep up with Stephen as he went through and made suggestions as to changes that should be made, etc. When you see Stephen, probably running through your, not through your backyard, through town property, please say hi and thank him. And that's pretty much it. We got to talking about minutes and realized that there was some issues, so we didn't vote on any minutes. We didn't vote on executive session minutes, and we just chatted some more, and then we all went home. So that's the scoop. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next month. Bye-bye.